Nestled within the Orlando, Florida metropolitan area, Winter Park stands as an affluent city, notably distinguished by its Park Avenue district. Among its esteemed residents were Reed Berman and his son, Oliver. A successful commercial real estate executive grappled with a demanding schedule. To his aid came Jennifer Fulford, an invaluable assistant who seamlessly juggled roles as both nanny and house manager. Having faithfully served the Berman household for approximately 6 to 7 years, Jennifer was renowned for her unwavering reliability and exceptional kindness. Welcome to Crime Scene Archives, where we delve into some of the most haunting and perplexing criminal cases of our time. Today we explore the chilling saga of Scott Nelson and the tragic fate of Jennifer Fulford, a story that exposes the darkest corners of the human psyche and the relentless pursuit of justice in the face of unspeakable evil. Before we dive into the chilling saga of Scott Nelson and the tragic fate of Jennifer Fulford, don't forget to subscribe to Crime Scene Archives for more captivating investigations. Warning: this video contains graphic content related to crime scenes. It is intended for educational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. On the seemingly ordinary morning of September 27, 2017, tragedy lurked beneath the facade of a typical Wednesday. Jennifer and Oliver embarked on their daily commute to school around 7:15 or 7:20 a.m. Upon Jennifer's return to the residence, she briefly conferred with Reed about the day's agenda. Scheduled dental appointments and household arrangements were meticulously discussed before Jennifer departed for her own commitments. Reed likewise set out for a breakfast meeting, bidding a routine farewell to Jennifer and Oliver. However, the day took a harrowing turn when Oliver's school alerted Reed around 4 p.m. that Jennifer had failed to pick up his son. Concerned, Reed attempted to contact Jennifer to no avail, finding her cell phone powered off. Upon returning home with Oliver at approximately 5 p.m., the eerie silence of the house hinted at an unsettling absence. Jennifer was nowhere to be found, leaving behind her purse incongruously placed beside a downstairs bathroom toilet, a detail noted by Reed as unusual. A thorough inspection of Jennifer's purse revealed the absence of essential items such as her wallet, cell phone, credit cards, and driver's license. Furthermore, her 2015 Hyundai Santa Fe was conspicuously absent from the premises. Alarmed by these discoveries, Reed promptly contacted law enforcement, albeit with a delay of approximately 75 minutes. Winter Park officers swiftly responded to Reed's call, initiating an investigation into Jennifer's disappearance. As the investigation unfolded, Reed shared pertinent details with law enforcement, including the last communication he received from Jennifer, a text message around 11 a.m. that morning. Despite his efforts, Reed lacked contact information for Jennifer's husband, Robert. Law enforcement, however, managed to locate Robert later that evening. Robert disclosed that he hadn't recently seen or spoken to Jennifer, mentioning her upcoming trip to Dallas, Texas to visit her son and newborn granddaughter. Subsequent inquiries revealed unsettling anomalies in Jennifer's activities. Bank records indicated a withdrawal of $300 from a Wells Fargo ATM, a transaction deemed highly improbable by Robert. Further scrutiny revealed that Jennifer's vehicle, equipped with Blue Link technology, remained untraceable due to inactive account status. Robert urgently pursued reactivation of the system to aid in locating Jennifer's SUV, while law enforcement conducted interviews and examined evidence gathered from Reed's residence. During an interview with detectives, Reed recounted the day's events and provided crucial insights gleaned from his home's security system activations. Anomalies in the system records, such as doors remaining ajar and motion detection in unoccupied rooms, painted a disconcerting narrative of Jennifer's disappearance. Despite Reed's cooperation, the circumstances surrounding Jennifer Fulford's vanishing remained shrouded in mystery, leaving investigators to meticulously piece together the fragmented clues in pursuit of answers. Detectives had to probe all the possibilities to ensure a thorough investigation. Regardless of the potential viability of each theory they explored, the idea of Jennifer growing tired of her routine and leaving everything behind seemed unlikely. especially considering she was due to be in Texas spending time with her newborn granddaughter on that very night. Suddenly, a shocking development landed in the laps of law enforcement. Surveillance footage was obtained from the Wells Fargo ATM, where the $300 withdrawal had occurred the previous afternoon. The time was 12:10 p.m., roughly 15 minutes after the last activation of Reed's alarm system. At a location less than a mile from the residence, they expected to see Jennifer, but what they found instead was shocking. The video showed a mysterious man at the ATM. He appeared to be middle-aged and was wearing eyeglasses, a white t-shirt, light-colored shorts, and bright blue tennis shoes. He had a white towel draped around his neck, and his hair was pulled back in a ponytail. On his left wrist was a watch with a distinctive plaid band. Reed was shown images of the man and the unique watch, but neither were familiar to him. Apparently, the man had returned to the same ATM at 4:33 p.m. that afternoon in a different outfit. He wore a dark-colored baseball cap along with what appeared to be a dark-colored jacket. His white t-shirt bore the logo Workout and the numbers 32789, represented the zip code of Winter Park. Additionally, another difference in the man's appearance was noted. The surfaces of his hands exhibited multiple fresh cuts and wounds. Detectives were able to track down Jennifer's contact, Janet Grimm, who was scheduled to deliver the framed art the previous day. Jennifer had texted Janet at 10:18, stating that she'd be back at the residence in less than 10 minutes. Not long after this time, Janet stated she'd missed multiple calls from Jennifer's number at 11:33. Janet picked up a call, and on the other end was Jennifer, whom Janet could only describe as totally panicked. Jennifer stated she'd have to cancel the appointment as the school had just called, and she had to pick Oliver up right away. Naturally, Jenna found the conversation odd. She attempted to reach Jennifer on her cell phone approximately an hour later, but there was no answer. Evidence was beginning to mount. Also, on September 28th, Jennifer's SUV was located less than 5 miles from Reed's home in the parking lot of a public supermarket. The vehicle was processed for evidence. On September 29th, 2 days after Jennifer vanished, each finding was more grim than the one before. A beer bottle was found in the front center console. According to Robert, Jennifer would never drink on the job. There was no doubt in his mind that the bottle did not belong to her. A tan canvas bag had been placed on the front passenger floorboard. Inside the bag were a white t-shirt, a white towel, and a men's watch with a distinctive plaid watch band. Worst of all, each item appeared to be stained with blood. The items clearly matched those the man was seen wearing on ATM footage from the first transaction, 2 days prior before the wounds to his hands had appeared. Word of a third unauthorized ATM transaction came on September 29th. But the location wasn't even remotely near Winter Park. It was in Jacksonville, Florida, where a $100 withdrawal occurred, approximately 140 miles north of Reed's home. A sworn statement via phone was recorded between Robert Fulford and a Winter Park detective that same evening. "Did anyone have permission or authorization from you to withdraw the cash?" the detective asked. "No," Robert replied. "Would you like to press charges if applicable to anyone for criminal charges?" the detective inquired. "Yes, I would." The most recent ATM activity cited in the statement was a major turning point in the investigation. It led detectives to contact the Winter Park Amtrak station, where they were able to get their hands on some critical information. On the afternoon of September 27th, a train ticket was purchased at 4:52 p.m., the destination being none other than the city of Jacksonville. And as luck would have it, there was only one passenger aboard that train. With this information, law enforcement had what they believed to be the name of a previously unidentified individual. His images had been plastered all over the media in an attempt to put a name to the menacing face. He was a 53-year-old man by the name of Scott Nelson, and a background check indicated that he was extremely dangerous and had an extensive rap sheet. Furthermore, Scott was currently on federal probation for armed robbery. Hope that Jennifer would be found safe was beginning to dwindle. The following day brought with it the dreaded and devastating news. Just 3 days after Jennifer was last seen, the worst-case scenario had become a nightmarish reality. Jennifer's cell phone had been pinging off a cell tower located near a heavily wooded area of Orlando around noon. With assistance from the Orange County Sheriff's Office Aviation Unit, Jennifer's body was located. The gruesome discovery conveyed that the last moments of Jennifer's life had been utterly hellish, but the true extent of the horror wouldn't be fully revealed until later. The merciless nature of the killing further motivated local law enforcement, and U.S. Marshals were enlisted to assist with the investigation to locate Scott Nelson. It wouldn't take long. The day after Jennifer's battered and discarded body was found, the suspected murderer also surfaced. It was shortly after 4 p.m. on October 1st that Scott was located at the Sunshine Inn Motel in Jacksonville, just a half-mile trek from where the local Amtrak station had dropped him off initially. Initially, it was anyone's guess how the apprehension would play out. Law enforcement was aware that Scott didn't have much to lose, paired with his violent nature, which could be a recipe for disaster. The showdown began with Scott's initial refusal to exit his room when ordered. However, it proved to be short-lived, and Scott was taken into custody without incident. However, the investigation had essentially just begun. A couple of hours after his apprehension, Scott found himself in an interrogation room. The ensuing conversation, captured on video, was later analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney, a licensed clinical psychologist, and a licensed professional counselor. Scott, while polite and formal in addressing the detectives, expressed a desire for an attorney, indicating a familiarity with his rights. Despite initial hesitance, Scott eventually provided some information, though his motivation seemed self-centered and narcissistic, focusing more on his own circumstances rather than the gravity of the situation. In subsequent interviews, Scott's demeanor shifted, and he became more forthcoming with details, shocking even seasoned detectives with the alleged motive behind his actions. Throughout the interviews, Scott's focus remained primarily on himself, painting himself as the victim in his narrative, devoid of any genuine remorse or accountability for his actions. Scott's bitterness and resentment grew as he struggled to survive while observing large communities nearby, enjoying excess comforts and luxuries. It's crucial to understand that individuals with antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, often harbor a strong belief that they deserve everything. Status, money, luxury, and comfort. Whether or not they've earned it, this entitlement fuels their justification for committing violent crimes, as they feel entitled to obtain what they believe is rightfully theirs. Moreover, individuals with ASPD can be extremely spiteful and vindictive, seeking revenge for perceived slights, real or imagined. They often escalate situations seeking to inflict a punishment far worse than the perceived offense. Scott's sense of entitlement and his vindictive nature were evident as he recounted his experiences. Despite being released from prison just months prior, he felt trapped in a cycle of poverty and perceived injustices. While facing extreme adversities during his probation, including healthcare issues and difficulty obtaining food, Scott seemed resigned to the possibility of spending his life in prison. For him, the harsh reality of life outside prison was not much better than incarceration. Scott's targeting of Jennifer, whom he perceived as belonging to the working class rather than the affluent residents of Winter Park, underscores the disconnect between his actions and his professed grievances. Despite claiming to seek retribution against the wealthy, his actions were driven by personal rage rather than any sense of social justice. During his interviews, Scott exhibited grandiosity and victim-blaming tendencies, common traits among individuals with ASPD. He was aware of right and wrong, but prioritized his own needs and desires above all else, demonstrating a lack of empathy or remorse. As Scott detailed his premeditated plan and the gruesome events leading to Jennifer's murder, it became evident that nothing she could have done would have altered his course of action. His actions were driven by a sense of entitlement, vindictiveness, and a complete disregard for human life. After Scott's confession, detectives reviewed surveillance footage from Walmart just 3 days later, where Scott had purchased nearly $500 worth of items, including food, cigarettes, and blue tennis shoes. Among the purchases were incriminating items, a utility knife with a green handle, a package of 18-inch cable ties, and a roll of duct tape. Scott eventually found a secluded wooded area where Jennifer sadly seemed to realize she wouldn't survive the brutal attack. Scott, in a chilling account, described how he used duct tape to bind her, even contemplating putting it over her face. He confessed to his premeditated decision to kill her, feeling that being caught was inevitable and he had nothing to lose. After the murder, Scott cleaned himself up at a nearby restroom and changed clothes. Despite his actions, he felt hungry, indicating his sole focus on fulfilling his own needs. He then went to a 7-Eleven and bought a pizza, feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction and vindication. Scott felt like he had finally made someone pay for his perceived injustices. Scott's lack of remorse and empathy was evident as he casually spoke of his victim, Jennifer, and the motive behind the murder. He blamed others, including his probation officer, for his actions, showing a complete lack of accountability. Despite his attempts to rationalize his actions, forensic evidence tied him to the crime scene. During his trial, Scott testified and recounted the gruesome details of Jennifer's murder, continuing to shift blame onto others. Despite his shocking demands for more food in exchange for revealing information about other murders he claimed to have committed, he was ultimately found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. In conclusion, the chilling case of Scott Nelson serves as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity and the devastating consequences of unchecked antisocial behavior. Despite his attempts to shift blame and justify his actions, justice prevailed, and Scott was rightfully convicted for the heinous murder of Jennifer Fulford. Thank you for watching this video from Crime Scene Archives. If you found this content intriguing, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more gripping true crime stories like this one. And don't forget to check out our previous video on the Snowtown murders for another compelling investigation into the darkest corners of human nature. Stay tuned for more riveting content, and remember to stay safe out there.